Doctor Who, The Eighth Day, by Joshua Winisco, Selim Ulug, Harry Draper, Ben Tedds, Sophie Iles, Max Curtis, and Lisbeth Miles. A simple box sat in the TARDIS. Outside, it was lacquered wood. Within, it was endlessly vast, as dark as the lusts in a good man's heart, and as bleak as a broken promise. The day had been quite pleasant until the Doctor's companion opened the box. 12 hours earlier, the TARDIS materialized on a barren world which held only one object of interest. A small wooden box with intricately carved designs upon its surfaces. A yellow sticky on top of the box warned, "Do not open. Seriously, just don't." "Bric-a-brac?" asked Charlie Pollard as the Doctor laid the box on the desk. He sat in his armchair, jacket sewed. Charlie could see his hair curling in concentration. In silence, the Doctor studied the driftwood. What could it be? Jetsam? The Doctor closed his eyes, concentrating. His thoughts teetered delicately at the edge of the box, the edge of knowing. He could sense something. A dark, whispering massing. Charlie felt it too, a single word flaking away from the artifact. Pandora. "Doctor, why is that name so familiar?" "The name stems from a myth about the box." He flashed a smile at her. "It might even be the same one. Shall we find out?" Before she could answer, the Doctor prized the heavy lid open, and the cloister bells rang in terror. Out came boredom and lost keys. Out slithered late buses as Charlie held down Thursday afternoons. "Doctor, butterfly nets. I'll get the TARDIS bins." So that's where I left the minor inconveniences. But one's missing. What big inconvenience? An X of sorts. Charlie raised an amused eyebrow. "Oh, really?" An incredibly persistent one. She liked midnight dances and killing things. So I popped her in here to have a good, long think about her life choices. "And how long ago was that?" "Good question. Wish I knew." He recalled the X and their 13 passionate, paradoxical weeks in July of 1693. He forgot about the web of time in her presence. As a guest of Basho and the farewell poem the monk had written them. "Son of Gallifrey, summer leaves us, so should you. Send me a postcard?" Snapping out of his reverie and shutting the lid, the Doctor said, "Yes, good question, but right now, not the most important question." "Oh? Do tell." "The most important questions are, where is she? How did this box end up on this planet? And what is she up to? I can't trust her to behave. She once invented the 8th day of the week on a whim, purely so we could have personal time." Charlie crossed her arms, harumphing, "So where are we going to find her?" The Doctor smiled. "The 8th day of the week." He set the controls. The 8th day of the week is the black sheep of time, now alone in an eddy eviler than Monday. It tried to bully its way between Thursday and Friday. Time did not approve, already considering Thursday a mistake. Somewhen, uniting work weariness and weekend hunger, the TARDIS materialized. Charlie rushed to the scanner. She observed the crimson hue drenched across the land and the large crumbling tower blocks on the horizon. The 8th day seemed abandoned. Perhaps the Doctor's X felt the same, she thought. I'd hate for that to happen to me. Halfway to the towers, Charlie stopped. You realise you never said. Who is she?" "Patience. Oh, it's exhausting always waiting for answers. Look, no. Patience. The idea of. The only one Doctor, look!" They stopped, but the towers were getting closer. "I do worry when physical reality goes a bit mushy," said the Doctor. "Mushy?" "Yes, the land between us and those towers seems to be shrinking. Do you feel shorter?" "No. You do look about the right size." "Look, before you go to Alice in Wonderland..." Perspective is dangerous in a universe this big, but a dash works wonders. At the mention of Alice, the Doctor reconfigured his. Only the Rootons have a word for the mix of delight and dread he felt as the towers rose into the sky and formed the X's Cheshire grin. "Doctor," said Charlie, "should we be worried?" "Doctor?" The Doctor had vanished. In his place was a table, and upon the table, a key. The TARDIS was nowhere to be seen. Where it stood lay a white cat, grooming itself. Ahead, the grin widened and loomed ever larger. Charlie suspected this was the only means of finding the Doctor, so she took the key, the cat's glassy eyes following her. In the ground, beneath her feet, was a door. Charlie put the key into the lock. The door cracked open, and she fell. Charlie fell into the week before next and yesterday's day after tomorrow. Signs drifted past, pointing to the morning and afternoon and evening and night. She felt a strange juddering. Charlie opened her eyes to see she was stood on a giant clock. Whilst the clock had no hands, the sound remained, the tick-tocking. The metallic ground vibrated under her. Charlie shivered in the cold. Her eyes darted to the numbers, but they revealed nothing to her. Apart from number 8. That's where they stood smiling. In their clock-face observation deck, scientists scurried. So soon after Pandora? "Yar, a breach in the surrealist zone. Who be she?" "I reckon that there doctor can say," said a cowgirl in a lab coat, "once the metaphor lord arrives with him." Smiles crumbled. "Stop this nonsense at once," snapped a lady, wearing a rather dashing crown. She strode into the obs deck, glared around. "But that's our job," wailed the scientist. "You're fired. All of you, except you. Find the Doctor and give that girl a trampoline to land on." Gloop went the clock face as it melted away like the persistence of memory. "Ah!" went Charlie as she slipped through where it had been. Spring went the trampoline as it bounced her playfully into next week. "Are you quite finished with your nonsense?" Charlie said to the crowd-laden woman. The woman flashed Charlie a disturbingly familiar grin. "What do you want?" said Charlie. "You, of course. The competition. I beg your pardon. I need your help." "You're the X," said Charlie. "But why did they call you—" The kiss answered her question. It was warm, drugging, but pleasant, Charlie thought, as persuasion held her in her embrace. "Miss Pollard, will you help me stop the Quartzopus?" Sorry?" "The Quartzopus," said Perseverance. "It's what's causing all this nonsense. I don't follow. None of this is logical. The Quartzopus has damaged the continuity engine. This device," Persistence gestured to the giant clock. "The week doesn't have 8 days." "But I'm just me. What can I do?" Charlie asked. The stranger didn't look her in the eye. "That's the thing about the Quartzopus. It's a creature of impossibility, an anomaly in time and creation. Just like you, Charlie. We need you to gain its trust." The world folded up around her, like the walls and people had creased in shame, leaving just a small box and an even smaller Charlie inside. "It's all very simple," she wheeled on the Doctor. "It eats days. It's so hungry it made extra, and then it ate mine." "I'm so sorry," said the Doctor, not sounding sorry at all. "So I'm going to give it some really miserable days. The ones that make you cry and crawl back under the duvet. Hey, I'll have you know, most of my days are very pleasant. You obviously weren't paying much attention." And to this end, they baked it a pie of all the times that never were. A pie seasoned with Pleasant Valley Tuesdays and mild Smarch nights, and topped with out-of-date dates. "Beware the Ides of October," the Doctor intoned. The Doctor added the final touch. a dash of Thursday next. Charlie asked, "But how do we find the Quartzopus?" "We don't have to, Charlie. She'll find us." With a nod of his head, Charlie looked behind her. There was the white cat, its eyes sparkling like quartz. The cat and the Quartzopus are a gestalt entity, the doctor said. If it escapes the 8th day, that's the end. The Quartzopus reared its bulbous cranium and dug its diamond-studded tendrils into every day, splintering reality at its touch. "We're too late!" cried Charlie. "Don't know the meaning of it," scoffed the doctor, and held the pie aloft. "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." The Quartzopus, chomping its way through now, looked down at the doctor. The sweetened sense of impossible days filling its 27 nostrils, its noses twitched. But Charlie knew what to do. She crept forward as the creature ate. It's like the X had said, the doctor may be an event, but Charlie was something else, something more. Her soft fingers splayed against its fur, and the touch was welcomed with a deep purr. Once, in a game of sardines, Charlie's family forgot to find her, so she stayed hidden for hours and hours, and once, lost in the TARDIS, she dreamt of fleeing deeper in for days and days, and once she offered a hungry god her years, her past, herself. Today, Charlie offered scritches. The cat rumbled with joy, bumped its forehead against Charlie's before inveigling itself into her arms. "Charlie, you do know what you're holding there, yes?" said the doctor. "An absolutely splendid cat, and so fluffy." Every cat is a paradox. Their beauty springs from sublime tension in which they hold passion and indifference, rancour and languor. Even the most mundane cat is as alien and unknowable as Charlie herself. This was not a cat, but it fed on what she offered. Satisfied, the cat licked its paws, and, with a wink and a wide grin, brandished its claws, slightly fracturing reality, so that, after Charlie blinked, she and the doctor were standing in front of the clock, the continuity engine, and the X was beside them. "Charlie Pollard," said Patience, "you have saved time." "Well, thank you," beamed Charlie. "But why is my name spelt like that?" "Resonance of the continuity repairing itself," the professor explained. "I can't explain properly with only 12 characters 12 letters, 12 numbers of the clock," the doctor muttered, a little impressed. "Both space and time are slipping back into their natural rhythm." The continuity engine gave a mighty heave, and the hands of the clock were in motion once more. The universe was well again. Time had found its rhythm. The pair stood together triumphant. He tugged on Charlie's hand. "Well, I think we've done enough for today. Time to go." "But Doctor, what about her?" Charlie gestured with a sad look. "Well, don't leave without a goodbye." "She's Patience. And the last time I stopped to smell the roses... Well, Vervoid Prison stinks." He swept the cosmic cat hair from his coat. "Our small talk's microscopic." "Fine, don't say goodbye. Say hello." Charlie nudged open the TARDIS, and Patience followed. "I like your box better than mine." "You can't have it," said the doctor, glaring. "I'm not a thief. I don't steal boxes, and I don't steal time." "Where would you like to go?" asked Charlie, as cheerily as she can. "Home." "Oh, no," said the doctor. Patience smiled. "Oh, yes."